Think back to the defining moment of the original anime season. We are standing right outside the Viridian City gym. The air is tense. Ash finally reaches the final hurdle of his Kanto journey, but before he can even challenge the leader, his arrogant rival steps out of the shadows. Gary Oak smugly flashes a custom badge case. He opens it up and reveals 10 shiny badges. 10. Most viewers never pause to count them. Most viewers never pause to actually look at the shapes of those badges. If you look closely at that specific frame of animation, you will spot a massive logic flaw that shatters everything we thought we knew about the Indigo League. Only 3 of Gary's badges match the ones Ash worked so hard to collect. The other 7 are entirely foreign. They are weirdly shaped symbols we never see again. How does a trainer acquire 10 badges in a region that supposedly only has 8 official gym leaders? Why do 7 of those badges look totally unrecognizable? The answer fundamentally rewrites the history of the Pokémon anime. It proves that we have severely underestimated the most iconic rival in television history. To understand this mystery, we must first break down the biggest lie Game Freak ever told us: the video game lie. When we played the original Generation 1 games on our handheld consoles, we saw a tiny compressed map. We navigated a world that featured exactly 8 cities housing exactly 8 gym leaders. We assumed that was the entire world. We assumed the anime followed the exact same rigid structure. But the anime world operates on a vastly larger scale. The Kanto region in the show is not a small peninsula you can walk across in a few hours. It is a massive, sprawling continent. Ash spends dozens of episodes wandering through dense forests, crossing immense canyons, and visiting sprawling cities that do not exist in the video games. The show introduces us to anime-exclusive locations like Hop 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 Town, Porta Vista, and Neon Town. The geography is immense and untamed. Because the region is so massive, the official Pokémon League cannot rely on just 8 localized gym leaders to test thousands of traveling trainers. The anime world is filled with dozens of unsanctioned and minor league gyms scattered across the wilderness. These localized testing grounds exist to filter out weak trainers before they ever reach the Indigo Plateau. The league regulations clearly state a trainer needs 8 valid badges to enter the championship. The rules never specify which 8 badges a trainer must collect. We actually see direct evidence of this hidden league system during Ash's travels. Remember AJ and his savage Sandshrew? AJ ran his own unofficial gym in the middle of nowhere. He demanded challengers face him in combat. He built a rigorous punishing training environment and racked up 98 consecutive victories. AJ proved that highly skilled and dangerous trainers set up their own localized gyms outside the jurisdiction of the major cities. They test travelers, they crush dreams, and they operate entirely off the grid. Look at the fighting dojo in Saffron City. In the games, it serves as a simple side quest. But in the anime, it represents a fallen official gym that lost its premier status to Sabrina and her psychic types. Yet trainers still travel there. They still battle the karate master to test their mettle. The Kanto continent is littered with these secondary battlegrounds. It is littered with veteran trainers who issue their own unique badges to those worthy enough to defeat them. This hidden network of gyms frames Gary's journey in a brand new light. We always viewed Gary as a spoiled brat who inherited his skills from Professor Oak. We watched him mock Ash and speed off in his flashy red convertible. We assumed he was just taking the easy route. We thought his grandfather was pulling strings behind the scenes, but the badge case proves the exact opposite. Gary was not taking the easy route. Gary was actively hunting down the hardest and most obscure challenges Kanto had to offer. Think about the logistical nightmare of Gary's journey. Ash followed the standard mapped-out path. Ash visited the major cities everyone knew about. Ash stumbled into gyms by following basic road signs. Gary went entirely off the grid. Gary utilized his vehicle to traverse extreme distances, deliberately seeking out these hidden minor league gyms. To win 7 unknown badges, Gary had to battle specialized trainers we never even got to see on screen. He had to face unknown typings, unpredictable strategies, and localized experts who spent their entire lives perfecting a single combat style. He was not just battling for simple qualification. He was waging a systematic geographical conquest of the entire Kanto region. He was farming badges at a rapid pace to assert total dominance over the competitive landscape. Contrast Gary's systematic dominance with Ash's chaotic journey. Ash struggled to beat the standard 8 gym leaders. In fact, Ash barely survived his gym battles. Let us analyze Ash's actual combat record in Kanto. Brock handed Ash a badge because Pikachu accidentally set off the sprinkler system, weakening Onix. Misty's sisters basically surrendered the Cascade badge because Team Rocket interrupted their match. Surge wiped the floor with Pikachu before Ash barely scraped by in a rematch. The pity badges continued to pile up. Erica handed Ash a badge because he rescued her Gloom from a burning building. Sabrina's terrifying psychic powers were only neutralized because a wild haunter made her laugh, prompting her father to just hand Ash the Marsh badge. Ash literally earned only a tiny fraction of his Kanto badges through legitimate combat superiority. He defeated Koga, he defeated Blaine, and he defeated Team Rocket in the Viridian Gym. That is the harsh reality of Ash's first journey. He relied on luck, friendship, and circumstantial pity to scrape together his tournament qualifications. Meanwhile, Gary was systematically dismantling independent gym leaders across the treacherous wilderness, and he was doing it with a massive, highly optimized roster of Pokémon. Remember the episode where Ash returned to Pallet Town and compared his Pokédex data with Gary? Ash had caught a mere handful of Pokémon. He caught a Krabby, a Muck, some Tauros, and his starters. Gary had caught over 200 Pokémon. Gary was not just catching random duplicates for fun, he was building a military-grade roster. Why did Gary need so many different Pokémon? Because he was facing diverse, unknown threats on a daily basis. When you challenge an unofficial gym in the middle of a dense forest or a rocky mountain pass, you do not know what typing the leader specializes in. You do not have a tourist pamphlet explaining their strategy. You must adapt on the fly. Gary caught hundreds of Pokémon so he could build specialized counter-heavy teams for every single obscure gym leader he encountered. This level of tactical preparation is staggering. Gary was operating like a seasoned military commander while Ash was stumbling around like a lost tourist. Gary's squad of cheerleaders was not just there to stroke his ego. They functioned as a mobile support team. They likely managed his supplies, maintained his vehicle, researched regional myths, and scouted ahead for new challengers. Gary ran a highly efficient professional operation that left nothing to chance. We actually get to witness Gary's combat supremacy right before the Indigo League begins. Gary arrives at the Viridian Gym to face Giovanni. He does not hesitate. He sends out his Nidoking and Arcanine and utterly decimates Giovanni's Golem and Kingler. Gary displays flawless tactical aggression. He commands the battlefield. He only loses that battle because Giovanni cheats. Giovanni deploys Mewtwo, a genetically engineered psychic legendary Pokémon wearing combat armor. No trainer in the world could have defeated Mewtwo in that moment. Gary surviving that encounter is a testament to his sheer skill. All of this hidden lore provides an epic payoff for the future of the anime. It justifies Gary's massive ego. When Gary talked down to Ash, he was not just bragging empty words. His arrogance was backed up by hard data, a staggering win rate, and geographical dominance. He was legitimately outperforming Ash on every single metric. This realization makes their final showdown at the Silver Conference years later feel so much more earned. We all remember that legendary battle in the Johto region. We remember the sheer tension as the stadium erupted. We remember the intense rivalry finally boiling over into a full 6-on-6 championship match. But to understand the true weight of that moment, we have to understand the grueling journey that leveled the playing field. By the time Ash reached the Johto League, he had fundamentally evolved as a trainer. The Orange Islands forced him to adapt to unconventional battle styles and unique gym mechanics. The Johto region forced him to rely on actual combat strategy rather than luck. Ash stopped relying on pity badges. Ash started catching a wider and more diverse team. He integrated heavy hitters like Heracross, Noctowl, and Donphin into his roster. In Johto, Ash finally began to emulate the strategic dominance that Gary displayed back in Kanto. Ash finally learned how to optimize his roster for specific threats. He learned how to exploit type matchups. He learned how to use the battlefield terrain to his advantage. He leveled up from a lucky rookie relying on Pikachu into a hardened tactical veteran. And Gary continued his relentless pursuit of excellence throughout Johto. He evolved his Eevee into a powerful Umbreon. He refined his strategies. He became a more mature and focused competitor. But the crucial difference was that Ash was no longer trailing behind. Ash had finally matched Gary's tactical awareness. Ash had matched Gary's geographical experience. The kid from Pallet Town had finally caught up to the prodigy in the sports car. When they clashed at the Silver Conference, it was not just a battle between two childhood rivals settling a petty grudge. It was a clash between two elite tacticians who had conquered multiple regions. It was a battle to see if Ash's hard-fought, grueling growth could finally overcome Gary's systematic, hyper-efficient dominance. The climax of that battle remains one of the greatest moments in television history. Ash's Charizard squaring off against Gary's Blastoise. Gary had the ultimate type advantage. Water beats fire. Blastoise was a massive defensive powerhouse. Gary's calculations told him victory was assured. But Ash defeated Gary because he finally learned to play the game at Gary's elite level. Ash used the terrain to his advantage. He ordered Charizard to use Flamethrower on the rocky field, melting the stones and superheating the arena. He neutralized Blastoise's mobility and turned a massive disadvantage into a tactical trap. Ash employed a level of strategic brilliance that he never possessed during his Kanto run. He finished the fight with a devastating seismic toss, securing the ultimate victory. Gary's shock at losing that battle is profound. It is not just the reaction of a sore loser. It is the reaction of a mathematical genius realizing his flawless calculations were finally wrong. Gary had the data. Gary had the superior roster. Gary had the historical precedent of crushing Ash at every turn, but he failed to account for Ash's exponential growth as a tactician. Gary realized in that exact moment that his rival had finally mastered the art of competitive battling. Gary lost the battle, but his legacy remains firmly intact. He remains the most hyper-competent geographically dominant rival in the history of the entire franchise. He proved that the anime world is vast, untamed, and filled with incredible trainers who operate far outside the official spotlight. He proved that true strength is not just about following the mapped-out path, but about conquering the uncharted territories and seeking out the hardest possible challenges. Gary Oak was not just a rival. He was a trailblazer who forced Ash to become the very best. Do you want to uncover more hidden truths and shattered logic in the anime world? Subscribe now to join the elite ranks of trainers who look beyond the surface of the lore and dominate the competitive landscape.